All right, everyone, if you please take your seat, we are going to get the festivities started. Good evening, and welcome to the 21st Annual Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame Induction Banquet. I'm Jeff Chalfant, and I will be hosting tonight's festivities. Unfortunately, we, along with so many others, had to take a step back in 2020 due to the pandemic. But we are thrilled to welcome everyone back to this venue to honor and give recognition to Coatesville sports. This is a great event that would not be possible without all of you, our longtime supporters. I truly mean that. This happens every year because of everyone here. Thank you. Would Joe Domsohn, Kim Clark, and Brian Brown please report to the lobby? We're going to get started. I'm going to start the procession of the 2021 inductees with their escorts. This is a great way to start the evening off. As usual, we have another impressive induction class, and at this time I will introduce the inductees and their respective Hall of Fame committee escorts. The 2021 Max Stuber Award winner, Rob Fisher, escorted by Tina and David Stuber. Owen Dawson, escorted by Scott Shortledge. Cori Rhoades Boykin, escorted by Ruth Martin. Mike Boykin, escorted by Gary Gill. Carl Smith, escorted by Scott Kershey. Kristiana Kubala, escorted by Dave Lapp. Bruce Montgomery, escorted by Bill Richards. Tanya Baxter, sister of Harvey Dixon, escorted by Ross Kershey. Joe Domsohn, escorted by John Gathercole. Joe. Kim Clark-Mukalian, escorted by Jane Johnson. Chuck Brewer, escorted by Chuck Carroll. And finally, Brian Brown, escorted by Ernie Perella. Congratulations. Congratulations, Brian. I'd like to bring Hall of Fame committee member and one of our 2021 inductees, Carl Smith, to the podium to deliver tonight's invocation.
Good evening. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the opportunity to be together in one place. We thank you for those that are being honored here this evening. We thank you for family and friends that are here to support them, to support us. Pray, Lord, this evening that the things that we do and say would be honoring to you, and that we would be careful to thank you for the food that has been prepared. Bless the hands that have prepared it, those that serve it, and our time around the table. Bless the nourishment of our minds and our bodies, we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Continuing a yearly tradition, would everyone please rise and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and please remain standing for a rendition of God Bless America, led by Tina Stuber. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, one with foam. God bless America, my own sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, Tina. I want to extend a sincere thank you to the Coatesville Country Club. Their willingness to work with our committee to make each year's banquet a special night, and the hospitality shown to all of us is very much appreciated. To event manager Melissa O'Hara, Chef Dan Wooten, the kitchen staff, wait staff, and all that have helped with tonight's festivities, thank you. For those of you here for the first time, at each table there are 8 dinner tickets, 4 for beef and 4 for chicken. We ask that you decide which person is to get what type of dinner and place the appropriate ticket at your place setting to help the wait staff. Does anyone need a seat? Does anyone not have a seat? Okay. Everyone enjoy your dinner. We will reconvene for tonight's festivities when dessert is served. Thank you.
Hi, Pat.
Okay, everyone, let's begin the proceedings. Before introducing our first inductee, there are a few items I'd like to mention. At this time, I would like to acknowledge, on behalf of the entire Hall of Fame committee, our former president, Scott Kershey, and express our thanks for his 4 years in guiding this organization. On that same note, I would be remiss not to recognize all 30 members of the Hall of Fame committee. You can find a list of their names on the inside cover of the Banquet program. Each member is instrumental in making this night happen, and I truly appreciate all their hard work. And if you see them, please mention to them what a great job they do putting this banquet on. On a more somber note, one of the founding members of this committee, Dr. Horace Bonsall, lovingly known to everyone simply as Doc, passed away in 2020. There's a nice tribute to him on page 2 of the program, which expresses his impact on the Hall of Fame committee and the community as well. We are pleased tonight to welcome his wife, Helen, and thank her on behalf of the committee for sharing Doc with us for 20 years. I would also like to acknowledge, representing the Coatesville School District this evening, our athletic director, Brian Changer, and thank him for the invaluable assistance that he lends to our committee. Thank you, Brian. Also, Tomas Hanna, the superintendent of the Coatesville School District. Tomas, would you please stand up? Thank you. And have to mention Coach Matt Ortega and congratulate him on the big win today. I'd like to call everyone's attention to our Hall of Fame banquet program. This is the second time that we have had the Coatesville High School art students design the cover. And they do a fantastic job as part of a scholastic contest. We get 12 submissions, and it's just their enthusiasm for taking this task on, and the end results are pretty fabulous. On page 46 of the names and designs of the second and third place contestants, our winning design for this year was Spencer Nickel, and they just do a fantastic job. The committee's very appreciative of Carolyn Worth and all the art students who support the Hall of Fame. At this time, we will select the winner of tonight's 50-50 drawing. This is the first time the committee has had any type of fundraising, and I'll briefly outline our goal. All of you have seen our Hall of Fame plaque display outside the 910 Center Gymnasium. Know that we are almost out of space for the inductees' plaques. Our committee is in the planning stages of possibly creating a wall of fame, and we realize that to do this will require a capital investment. The committee members feel that a wall of fame is something the entire community can enjoy, and as we move this project forward, we will keep everyone updated. Can I have a non-committee member please pull the winning ticket? Please check your tickets. The winning number is 862004. 862004. You can come up to the podium after the banquet. The winnings tonight are $285. Thank you all for your support. And one last thing, before beginning tonight's ceremonies, I would ask that all past inductees, we have 28 tonight, who are here this evening, to please stand up and be recognized. All past Hall of Fame inductees, please stand. Thank you. The J. Max Stuber Award has been given for the past 12 years for dedication and service to Coatesville School District athletics. At this time, I'd like to invite Tina and David Stuber to the podium to present this year's award.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful to see everybody back again after a 2-year hiatus. It's been a long road, but we're back. The John Malcolm Stuber Memorial Sports Award was created by the Hall of Fame Committee to honor persons who has given of themselves in their extra time to support, mentor, and influence our athletes. As I look out on the crowd tonight, I see those who may have worked with Max Stuber, those who may have had him in the classroom, those who may have had him as a swimming coach, and those who may have had him as a driver ed instructor. He was a man of many talents. I sometimes think if Dad was here right now, he would just say how proud he is at looking upon the Coatesville athletic family and looking at our resilience and our inclusion and the fact that diversity is our strength and not our liability. I'd like to introduce my sister Tina now, who will present this year's recipient.
I was fortunate earlier this week to have a little chat with Rob over the phone, and it was an emotional chat. He was very humbled to be receiving Dad's award. And as you notice in the program, his bio is extensive and goes on, so I don't want to repeat any of the things in there. But when we had our chat, the one thing he mentioned to me was that it was all for the kids. Everything that he did was for the kids. And something that reminded me of my dad was that Rob went off to college, came back to Coatesville, never left. Everything he's done, it's been in Coatesville. So from being a teacher and a coach to principal, athletic director, learning along the way, and I know he's humbly gratified the impact that he's had on the students' lives. And one thing he mentioned to me was that he just hopes the legacy and longevity of his service in Coatesville can be seen through the eyes of all the students' lives that he's touched. So on behalf of my brother and myself, Rob, we'd like to congratulate you and present you with this year's Max Stuber Award.
It's only 4 pages, don't worry. First and foremost, I'm not naive enough to not believe that there's probably an over and under on how long it's going to take me to cry. So So if you took the under, you probably have a pretty safe bet. But Tina, thank you for those kind words. And I am indeed honored and humbled to be the recipient of an award named after J. Malcolm Stuber. Mr. Stuber was a man of character and integrity, and he dedicated his entire career to better the lives of some young people. And I have to say that he was truly an ambassador for the Coatesville Area School District. And the sign of somebody of his caliber, through my years, through my now 40-plus years with the school district, I never heard anybody say a bad word about Malcolm Stuber. So Tina, thank you for the kind words. I'd like to also congratulate the other recipients of the 2021 class. Some of them were my childhood idols. I remember going to Scott Field on Saturday afternoons to watch Bruce Montgomery, Carl Smith. Some are my former students, Michael Boykin, Brian Brown, Owen Dawson, Kristiana Kubala. Hopefully in some way, I helped you a little bit along the way, but congratulations to all of this year's recipients. And I would be remiss if I didn't specifically mention Carl Smith. Carl was one of the most dedicated coaches that I ever had the pleasure of witness during my 10 years as principal. I would leave my office most evenings, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and everybody else was gone except for Carl Smith and 3 or 4 high jumpers out at that high jumping pit. So, Carl, congratulations. I'd like to thank the Stuber Award Committee, Bill Richards as the chair. But Mr. Richards, Coach Richards, I got a little bone to pick with you. There's a paragraph in there about me being the assistant special teams coach. I never knew I had that title. But Bill, to be honest with you, what Jack Helm said to me was, Rob, when they're running down the sidelines for a touchdown and Bill's chasing after him, you got 2 jobs. 1, make sure he doesn't fall, and 2, when he does fall, pick him up. But Bill, I enjoyed our time together. I'm going to bring up an old name. I have to thank Mr. Julian Zinzarella. For those of you who are old-timers in this room, you remember that he was the principal at Gordon Middle School. As a first-year teacher, Mr. Zinzarella was a stern man. He was a stern man, and when he said jump, you said how high. He called me into his office and he said, Mr. Fisher, you're going to coach 7th grade basketball. Not would you like to, you're going to coach 7th grade basketball. And I said to him, Mr. Zinzarella, I played baseball all my life. I said, I did play through 9th grade basketball, but my coach, Mr. Rhoades, had me sitting so far down the bench, I think he forgot I was there. But nonetheless, you didn't tell the man no. And I'm thankful for him because it provided me with 20 years of great relationships. And although it took me a while to learn the game, I was very fortunate to be mentored by Mr. Norm Smith. Norm and I always had the same philosophy. You know, you don't worry about how many games you win in middle school. Your job is to prepare the young men for the varsity level and beyond. Now, I was fortunate my first year of coaching, and I saw him come in here. I had a point guard by the name of Ricky Hicks. Ricky made me look real smart. But Norm, thank you for your guidance, and thank you for teaching me the fundamentals. I know Norm's here somewhere, but thank you, Norm, for doing that. I want to thank Jack Helm. Jack was the one who gave me an opportunity to become involved in high school sports as the strength coach for the football team. And you know, they say the sign of a good leader is someone who doesn't consider himself to be the smartest man in the room. And Jack Helm knew nothing about weightlifting, and he knew nothing, and he was very gracious to give me an opportunity. And that opportunity provided me with years and years of relationships and friendships, and still to this day, when I see not so much young anymore, but I see some of the student athletes on the street, and I tell them they look good, and they always remember those times that we had in the weight room. We worked hard, but we had a little fun along the way too. So thanks, Jack. I want to thank Rich Como for having the trust and the faith in me to give me the opportunity to be an assistant principal, an athletic director, and the principal of Coatesville High School. Some here tonight might say, well, what does the principal of the high school have to do with student athletes? If you think a principal doesn't play a key role in the lives of student athletes, especially here in Coatesville, ask any coach that's sitting in this room. So thank you, Rich, for guiding me there. I want to thank John Gathercole, another one of my childhood idols. I enjoyed watching John pitch during his years in high school, and I thought, that's going to be me someday. Little did I know, John, that we would both have something in common, and that is we never won a Chessmont championship, and we both lost by 1 run. John, thank you for being persistent and urging me to provide a resume for this honor. You are truly a good friend. Here's where it gets hard. My family. Here with me tonight is my son, Rob, his fiancée, Katie. And I have to say that my son, Rob, is a perfect example of you don't have to be the best athlete to have a career in athletics. Rob has been very successful in his ventures in athletic development. He's worked at Temple University, he's worked at Drexel University, and he's now at the University of Delaware. My daughter, Lauren, her husband, Brian Changer, who, by the way, is a much better administrator than I ever was. My 2 biggest supporters, my grandchildren, Gianna and Braylon. And at a young age, they've already learned the importance of athletics. Gianna playing field hockey, Braylon playing baseball, or any sport that has a ball. Last but not least, my wife for over 40 years, Ellen, who altered her own professional career to allow me to pursue my pursuits in education. You are every bit as deserving of this award as I am. Taking the time to always praise our athletes for their victories or console them when things weren't as expected. Bringing them to our home for holidays, making sure they had food before and after games, and providing opportunities for many of our young people to attend proms and other social events, and assuring that the football team had a water boy for over 20 years. But most importantly, Ellen, it's your reminders that you gave me all the time. I would hear, Rob, don't be afraid to recognize so-and-so, or don't be afraid to call so-and-so down to your, or not be afraid, but don't forget to call those young people down to your office and congratulate them, console them, whatever the cases may be. She is without a doubt the more popular Fisher for sure. This award is as much yours as it is mine. In conclusion, I've always said that when you get into education, you're not going to get rich with dollars and cents. However, you do become rich in other ways. And tonight I'm a millionaire. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rob. Another popular and successful thing that the Hall of Fame started 10 years ago was to recognize a special team in the storied history of Coatesville athletics. We began with the intention of honoring state champions and state runners-up, starting with the first such team in 1951 and moving to the present. After this year, there are 7 teams remaining that fit that criterion, but we are confident that our upcoming athletes will continue to add to that list. You can find the list of past and current special recognition teams and the 7 remaining teams on our Facebook page. This year is the committee's pleasure to welcome the 2000 Boys Cross Country State Championship team. Would the runners and coaches please come forward to be recognized at this time? While we're waiting for them to get up here, I would urge everyone, if you haven't already, there is one heck of a memorabilia display in the back of the room, the table. A lot of mementos from that fabulous season. And there's a booklet. Feel free to take one home with you. This time, I'd like to introduce Coach Keith Andrew to say a few words about this outstanding team.
So this is Keith Andrew. He was the head coach. This is Jesse Yacco, Matthew Lapp, Scott Shortledge. I also would like to congratulate the recipients, the other recipients tonight that are going to be honored. This team was a team of outstanding young men. Matthew Lapp, Rob Robertson, Ken DiMarzio, Josh Nowak, Jesse Yacco, Scott Shortledge, Ryan Shaver, Jeremiah Wise, and James Smith made up the team that went to Bucknell November 4th, 2000. They're intelligent, every one of them. They were fierce competitors. They played hard. At Bucknell, we had 2 runners finish in the top 10 that day. Matthew dove across the finish line. Jesse Yacco was running in his first ever varsity race. He was our 5th runner that day. Our 6th and 7th runners beat everybody else's 5th runner. We had a tiebreaker if we needed it. Cedar Cliff was ranked nationally. Coatesville won that day. Our Josephs was the high school reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer. He was a big fan of ours. I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs of his article in the Sunday Inquirer. It goes like this: just as it had planned, Coatesville reduced its mileage and increased its intensity level. Just as it planned, lower times and higher finishes were the result. The PIAA State Cross Country Championships were the most important meet of the year, and the Red Raiders, planning their big peak to perfection, won the Class AAA state title Saturday at Bucknell University against a field that included 22 of the state's best teams. That's all you need to know about this team.
I'm Coach Keith Andrew, and I'd like at this time just to share a story of the 4 gentlemen that are representing the team that are here tonight. Because this whole program was based on, this whole year of the program was based on, there was a story to each athlete and how we got to where we got to. All right, James Smith, he got on that bus that went to the state meet, not with raw talent, but with the work ethic of not missing practice and the dedication to being part of a program that was on the rise. That's James Smith. Jesse Yacco, perseverance. That has to be his story, the story I tell anyways. Senior year, we go to the league meet. Jesse's running JV. He wins the JV race. He stays on JV. We go to the district meet, and in our district, they run the JV race on the same course. He wins the JV race at the district. That's perseverance, where he could have said, I'm a senior, I'm running JV, I'm done. Coach Lapp and myself, we discussed. We said, it's time to move him up. He got to run, and Coach Lapp told you the results. He was our 5th man at the state meet. Every good team needs a statistician. Scott Shortledge was this team's statistician. We wanted to know who was running well for what school, or who this person was, or who that person was, who's from the west part of the state. Scott knew. Coach Lapp used him. I used him. All right? He was our statistician. Dr. Matt Lapp. I'll call him Matthew because in 2000 he was Matthew Lapp. He didn't have the doctor title yet. That was coming. In my 35 years of coaching, I have never had a team captain show the leadership that this young man showed. Not once did he let these guys get down. He kept the morale up for the team. And in fact, the year before at our banquet, I remember Matthew standing up, looking at his teammates and saying, "Gentlemen, there's some unfinished business that we need to take care of," which they took care of the following year. Dr. Matthew Lapp. Thank you. Thank you for representing and honoring our team. Excuse me. Sorry. I forgot. I did.
I'll just say thank you so much for recognizing us. It's so hard to believe that it's been 20 years. I don't know where that time has gone, but it doesn't seem like that long ago. And so many of the faces that I've seen tonight, I remember you being at the races just 20 years ago. It was such a supportive community then as it is now, and we certainly fed off of that as a team. We heard the stories about Steel City and about the great athletes and runners who had come through our program, and that inspired us as well. This was a team that, as Coach Andrew said, we would build each other up. We were, and unfortunately, you can't take the whole team to the state meet, but there were guys on that team that challenged us throughout the year and made us better. And we continued to challenge each other throughout the year, and that's why we were successful in the end. So I want to thank my teammates again, and thank the community, and thank the Hall of Fame committee for honoring us. Thank you very much.
Staying with cross country, our first 2021 inductee, Owen Dawson, was a member of Coatesville's 2006 Chesmont, District, State, and National Championship teams. That's right, national champions. At the 2006 PIAA State Championships, Owen placed 8th overall, this following a 5th place finish at the District Championships and preceding a 21st place finish at the Nike National Meet. Owen also starred in outdoor track, most notably as a member of the 2006 Penn Relays Distance Medley Championship relay team. Owen also swam for the Red Raiders, qualifying for the district and state championships in multiple events. After graduating from Coatesville, Owen continued his running at Penn State, landing on the school's all-time records list in the 800-meter and mile events and garnering All-American honors in the 800 meters. While competing in 3 USA National Championships. Now proudly serving our country as a U.S. Marine, it is our honor to present for induction to the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, 2nd Lieutenant Owen Dawson.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just like to thank everyone for being here. You can read the little brochure we got about, all my accolades and all that stuff, but I'm a product of other people. I'm a product of my coaches. I'm a product, of my teammates. I'm a product of our administrators. All I really brought to the table was hard work and kind of a little unhinged mentality, which is probably why I ended up in the Marine Corps, so there we go. And these guys are the people I try and emulate every day. Mr. Lapp, Mr. Smith, Mr. Andrews, and Mr. Morris. They were my coaches. Some emulate a little more than others. But no, the lessons you guys taught me are things that I try and take to my men every single day. So thank you for that. I'd also like to thank, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Changer, and Mr. Lewis. You guys allowed us to miss so much school. No, but really, you guys supported our program so much. It was an honest support of cross country and track. It's a great feeling to have not only your coaches, and your teammates, but also the administration behind you. It's also my team's success. The 5 that we had, the Young Lions, as Mr. Smith would call us. We actually just got back from my brother's wedding. It's all the same guys, however many years later, all supporting each other, So I'd like to thank them. Especially Kyle, he was the guy that I just tried to chase down every meet, because he's a little better. That's why I got in this Hall of Fame first. But I did beat him in that Chestmont 1600 our senior year, so got that one. I guess lastly, I'd like to thank my mom. She's the one that drove us to all our practices, especially when Kyle and I's car was always breaking down and we didn't have time to fix it. So thank you for getting us to practice, pushing us and, kind of making us the men we are today. Congratulations to everyone else here getting inducted and all the past inductees. Thank you.
Our next 2021 inductee, Cori Rhoades Boykin, dominated the track scene in the early 1990s, winning medals in 3 consecutive PIAA state outdoor championships in the 1600-meter race. During that same period, she earned 2 bronze and 1 silver medal at the district meet. In addition, Cori earned a silver medal at the 1993 Indoor Track Meet of Champions. Cori also earned 4 varsity letters in cross country, culminating in a medal at the 1992 PIAA state championship meet. After graduation, Cori continued to excel at the collegiate level at Brewer College, highlighted by a 4th place finish at Nationals in the 1500 meters. I must add that Cori fashioned this Hall of Fame career while unknowingly competing with a congenital heart birth defect, and she is currently on the mend from her 2nd aortic valve replacement surgery. Amazing. It is my pleasure to present for the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame induction, Cori Rhoades Boykin.
Thank you for that humble introduction. My kids just said, "You're not going to cry, are you?" I can't believe I'm standing here in front of you, actually. Just a little background history. My grandmother, who I never got to know, died at 46. I'm 46 today. So thank you for the technology. I'm here. I'm good for 20 years, and they set me up for the next one. So I'm so glad and honored to be in front of you. Am I talking close enough, Dad? He's a Vietnam vet, so can't hear. First, I want to thank so much, actually, Ruth Martin. Stand up, Ruth, one more time. She's the one that really advocated for me to get into the. And I will say that I procrastinated. I didn't feel obligated. I didn't feel like, why should I nominate myself? And I'm so glad because it worked out really perfect this year. I'm coming out of my 2nd heart surgery, so I thought, hey, why not go for it? So, and plus I wanted my kids to see my past accomplishments. Coach Andrew, you showed up late. Where are you at? There you are. I didn't get to say hi to you. You still look the same. I don't color my hair, so yes, I aged. My mom said I grade too early. And of course, George McAllister, who helped me all along the way. I still have all the pictures and letter that you wrote to me my senior year. I also want to thank table number 4, because that's where my family's sitting. I'm the mother of 3. Aaron, he actually traveled from Virginia tonight to come see me. He's 24. Brendan, Coach Newt, you might remember him. He's almost 20. And then I have Callie, my senior, coming this year at 17. And then my adorable husband, who wanted to speak in my half, because I'm not a good speaker. And he's getting ready to do the Shanahan banquet. So I like to hide usually. And also, I liked how Coach Andrew had brought up how important work ethic, dedication, and perseverance. Boy, I know it's still in you guys, the younger generation. I know it's just a little bit harder to pull out. So I'm rooting for that, and I know that was part of me. I didn't have the natural talent. I just worked at it, and it brought me to here. And who would have thought 2 heart surgeries later I'd still be standing in front of you. So, and it's all through God's work that I'm here. Yes. I want to just share some memories of high school. I thought I don't really have the speech like everybody else had. I didn't know really what to bring to it, but during high school, I was best known as Rice Cake Rhoades. My mom would pack me rice cakes, snack on prior to racing. We were told to eat light. My friends said they tasted like cardboard. I was also known as olive oil. My arms have gotten a little bit bigger from my clean, but my arms were like sticks, but came in handy for running or opening doors, my brothers would say. During races, I could use my pointy elbows to secure my personal space in a race. They also helped if seated in the middle of a car and needed out. Oh, goodness. I could open, let's see. I can remember almost missing the bus and Coach Andrew wondering where I was. We made it a new record time to the school that morning in 4 minutes. That was in the Eagle Town, Mom and Dad. And my brother was driving, not me. But I did make it to that meet. The most prominent high school memory was being told that I wasn't going to be able to compete in the state meet by the school doctor at the time. The doctor detected a murmur with my heart, but we managed a way around it. Who would have known that I'd later suffer from congestive heart failure and now recovering from my second heart surgery after all those years of running. And I thought it's so funny because I'm kind of like my dad. I'm not a hoarder dad, but I do save a lot. And I have, it's so funny because I share with my kids about back then, they, Daily Local took a lot of pictures. And unfortunately, I looked like I was in pain in all the photos. But the one that I chose, it took a side view, so I think I was safe with that. But during the doctor there who examined me, I actually saved the school physician's note for 27 years ago when he had said that I had a heart murmur that later detected my congestive heart failure. But I thought that was kind of cool. But I just want to thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of everybody and this honor of being inducted into the Coatesville Hall of Fame. This is awesome. Thank you, and thank you for the words that you wrote up, not me. Thank you.
This next inductee, Mike Boykin, is one of the most accomplished wrestlers in the history of Coatesville High School. A 3-time section and district champion from 2011 through 2014, a silver medalist at the 2013 PIAA championships, and finally a gold medalist in 2014, putting an exclamation point on his senior season, finishing with a perfect 40-0 record. In addition to his wrestling accomplishments, Mike was a mainstay on the defensive line of 2 Red Raider football powerhouses, including the 2012 state runner-up team. During those 2 years, Mike was named Chesmont National Division Defensive Lineman of the Year. Not taking a break, in the spring, he threw the shot put for the Red Raiders, earning a silver medal at the league championship meet. Mike continued his wrestling career at NC State, becoming a 2-time NCAA qualifier. It is our privilege to present this outstanding athlete for induction into the 2021 Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Mike Boykin.
All right, I promise I will not be here before you too long, but it's just a couple things I want to say. For one, let's thank God. Isn't this a beautiful thing? Another thing is, I would like to thank all my coaches that have been here. It's too many coaches to just, Matt Ortega's right there. Thank you. Thank Barrett Stevens. He's not here right now, but that was my first wrestling coach, so thank you, Barrett Stevens. I just, like I said, it's a journey. It's still going. I'm like, you inducted me 7 years out of school. I'm like, some people, but it's okay. I'm grateful. I'm thankful, and it's just awesome feeling. I just had a thought in my head. As I wrestled in college and even in high school, I always thought about this. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? You say, you got people who say they want it, but how bad do you want it, right? That's all I had to say, honestly. That should pretty much sum up everything that I've done because I wanted it that bad. But before I go, I will, if I can ask y'all, can we have a moment of silence for Noah Stevens? That was my first teammate. Hit me. It happened so fast that it just, that was my first teammate. I loved him like a brother. If we all can just have a moment of silence for him, that would be awesome. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to also, all of our inductees, please, at the end of tonight's banquet, I'm going to have you come up, and we always get pictures of the induction class in front of the banner. So please, all this year's inductees, remember to stick around for that afterwards. It is always special when the Hall of Fame inducts a coach. With an athlete, you see outstanding accomplishments over a period of 3 to 4 high school years. But with a coach, you reflect on what someone has accomplished, in most cases, their lifetime as an adult. And with a special coach, you see more than just the athletic successes. You see the impact that the truly legendary ones have had on the many young people that they have mentored. That is what we are honoring this evening. Carl Smith's coaching successes rank among the other Hall of Fame coaches that preceded him. 7 consecutive Chesmont championships in 7 years as the Red Raider head coach. 2 district championships, coaching the 2007 distance medley relay team to the Penn Relays Championship of America win, and 2-time recipient of the All-Area Coach of the Year. Not finished there, Carl took over as high jump coach in 2010 and proceeded over the next 10 years to coach 3 outdoor state champions, 1 indoor state champion, 5 all-state individual selections, and sending 4 jumpers to the Penn Relays High School Boys Championship of America meet. These accomplishments are more than worthy of a Hall of Fame coach. And when you add the impact that he has had on his athletes, and you see the respect that he has established among his peers, it emphasizes this well-deserved honor. It is the privilege of this committee and community to present Carl Smith for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jeff. He's younger than I am, but one of my already track idols, Coach Damian Henry, I just leaned over to him and said, Coach, no, I know, I didn't say that. He's the one that's coached 2 district champions. I've been part of that. I've been drawn along for the ride, but he's the one that's done that. And at some day, in the not too distant future, you will be inducting him into your Hall of Fame. He's that good. I want to just do some thanks, and then I'm going to go sit down. Those of you who know me think, yeah, that's right. Earl Johnson just came over to the table and said, "Don't you be long." And I said, "Can I enjoy my moment?" Jeff's talking about me, and he's in my ear. And you just got yours. I first want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing me with the talent that I realized pretty early on in life to be able to work with young people. And I love working with young people, and I still do that. Believe it or not, I still drive a bus every morning. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's fun. Also, I want to thank my wife, Beth. And without her, this isn't possible. And she's way smarter than I am, way more educationally than I am, but she's amazing. I love her, and she's an amazing wife. I spent 43 years. We've been married 43 years. And Beth, I thank you for helping to make this possible. My family, I've been very blessed. I have 3, and all my kids are here this evening, Sarah, James, and Emily. And James, how exciting for me. James was that James that they talked about? That's my kid. And if you look at the pictures that are up there, that's what I looked like 40 years ago. I really did. And then I want to thank Coach Al Black, who gave me my first opportunity to coach right out of college, to coach football. And then Mr. Harry Lewis, who, because at Coatesville I played football and baseball. I did not run track. He got me involved in track in 1978 and said, "You're good with kids, I'll teach you the sport." And that's the truth. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. To Keith Andrew, David Lapp, and Damian Henry, I thank those 3 men because I've had the privilege of working with them, learning from them, still learning from them. They're all quality men. And to all of those, I say thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be where I am. So I thank you. To the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, thank you very much. I am honored. I am really honored this evening to be here. And I thank you for that. But finally, then the athletes. The athletes. And any coach that's in this room will tell you, you coach in Coatesville, you are going to have some athletes. Many are like Mike Boykin. They just work hard. They have ability and they work hard. And they have coaches that get it out of them. But we have fantastic athletes, young ladies and young men. And I'm so very thankful for that. Too many in number to name, but there are a couple that I do want to mention. And this is from the high jump portion of my coaching career. The first one is a young man by the name of Eliezer McDonald. Coach, Mr. Fish will tell you he was a handful. Coach Henry would tell you how he even had to be sat down to be suspended 2 weeks before competing in the national championship meet in New York City because he wasn't doing things right. But that young man asked me so many questions. I had to get back and start learning a lot more about coaching the high jump. And so I thank him, and I hope that he'll be able to hear this. To Tracy Davis. Tracy Davis in 2014 had one of the most powerful high jumping afternoons ever. He won the state championship at 6'8", but he cleared 6'2", 6'4", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" on his first attempts. He missed 6'9" on his first attempt, cleared on the second, and cleared 6'10" on his first attempt. And it was an amazing and electric afternoon. It truly was. So I thank Tracy. And then Usman Kamara, Donovan Hart, and Donovan Brickus. You may not know those names. Those 3 gentlemen, as juniors in 2019, jumped 6'8", 6'6", and 6'6". All three of them helped me fulfill a dream I never thought I'd be able to. 3 guys from Coatesville High School competed in the state championship meet, 3 the same year. And 2 of them were on the medal stand. One was 8th, and Usman Kamara, who was a basketball player at his heart, who was on the team that went to the Final Four in the state of Pennsylvania in 2018. Usman Kamara had dedicated himself to track his junior year, and he was state champion that year. Those young men did not get a chance to compete as seniors, and we were determined to go to the state meet and put all 3 of them on the stand, because indoors of that year they jumped 6'6", 6'6", and 6'9". Finally, though, there's one gentleman that I have to mention. His name is Dondre Pittman. Some of you probably know Dondre Pittman. Oh, you may know him as Slay. I never once called him Slay. I called him Dondre. Dondre came out in 10th grade, and Dondre, the first day of practice, Coach Damian Henry had told me, Coach, you got to see this guy. You got to see this guy. He came out on a cold March day, and he just did some things, and I said to myself, my hand to God, walking back into the locker room that evening, I said, don't mess this up. That young man, as a sophomore, jumped 6'7", and he finished ahead of Tracy Davis the week before Tracy won the state championship. But Dondre went to states. Now, someone will check me on this. The only time I think this happened in Coatesville's history. He went to the state championship meet in high jump 3 consecutive years. And his senior year, he persevered, and he medaled. He finished 4th in the state, jumped 6'6". And he's the young man whose picture I had the privilege of being with, and fantastic young man. So I thank you very much, and I'm grateful finally for this honor. I'm equally honored to join the Legion of Inductees in the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our next inductee, Kristiana Kubala, made an immediate impact on the cross-country scene as a freshman in 2003. Fans took notice when Kristiana finished in 5th place at the prestigious Steel City Invitational and continued that early success to qualify for the district and state championship meets, repeating those honors for the next 4 years. The model of consistency, Kristiana was a 3-time All-Area First-Team selection, a 4-time district medal winner, and a 25th place finisher at the state championships in 2006. In addition, she replicated her freshman 5th place at Steel City to finish 5th again her senior season. Kristiana also represented the Red Raiders in the pool and the outdoor track, qualifying for the district championships in both sports. Away from the athletic fields, Kristiana excelled in the classroom, where she was a member of the National Honor Society while ranking 25th in the class of 2007. Kristiana continued her running career at LaSalle University as a varsity cross-country and track athlete, contributing to an Atlantic 10 championship for the Explorers. On another note, Kristiana's uncle, Bruce Montgomery, is also a member of the 2021 induction class. I am very proud to present for induction to the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Kristiana Kubala.
Thank you, Mr. Chalfant. So good evening, everyone. I just want to say it is such a special night for me. So as Mr. Chalfant just mentioned, my Uncle Bruce is also getting inducted with me. And I come from a very long line of Coatesville High School graduates. So both of my grandparents came to Coatesville for the steel mill. So my father's side of the family grew up in West End, and so my Aunt Margie, my Aunt Mary Ann, my Uncle Joe, and my father, they all graduated from Coatesville. And as my cousins Brian and David as well. And then on my mother's side, They lived and grew up in the east end of Coatesville, and so my Aunt Pam, my Uncle Bob, my Aunt Laurie, they all graduated from Coatesville High School as well. And then in the crowd with me tonight, my Aunt Diane, my Aunt Debbie, my mother, my sister, my stepfather, all graduates of Coatesville High School, and two of my biggest supporters, my best friends, Katie Henry and Mary Frederick. So to say that tonight is an honor is an immense understatement. I have the additional honor to be inducted with my teammate, Owen Dawson, with my coach, Carl Smith, and with a longtime family friend, Rob Fisher. So, you know, my experience with Coatesville cross country was just extraordinary. And to reiterate what Owen had said earlier, you know, my theme for the night, as I was talking with my Uncle Bruce about before, is that it takes a village. And so that is really what Coatesville cross country and Coatesville in general represents. And it is just all the support that I needed for what I was going through when I went into high school at the time. And so, you know, I had Mr. Lapp, you know, I really have to extend my deepest gratitude for everything that you have given me over the course of my running career. For those of you who don't know, you know, Mr. Lapp is just the face of cross country, and just to add a little like tidbit of like, you know, the inside details about what happens in Coatesville cross country. You know, him and his wife, Audrey Lapp, they just really opened up their whole entire home to us. And one thing that Mr. Lapp would do is that, you know, if you guys are in the area, you know that where Hibernia Park is, and Mr. Lapp lived very close to Hibernia Park, and one thing that he would do for me is he would come and he would pick me up for Sunday practice, and I live closer to South Brandywine Middle School, and so he would go completely out of his way to come pick me up for Sunday practice. And then if you guys are in the crowd and you know Coatesville running and you know the whole Hall of Fame, you probably know Amin Garnett. So we would actually go and pick Amin Garnett up for Sunday morning practice, and then we would run together. So, you know, those moments with him as a mentor, as a coach, just meant absolutely everything to me. So, Mr. Lapp, just thank you. All of your support and guidance over the years means more to me than you'll ever know. And of course, we also have Mr. Andrew. I didn't see you earlier, but I'm glad to see that you're here. You know, it's such a dynamic duo to think of like Mr. Lapp and Mr. Andrew for cross country and also for like running in general. So, you know, Mr. Andrew, he just is such that light, such that just so vivacious. And every time I would see him, it's just always a smile, it's always a laugh. And you know, for whatever reason, whenever I was running cross country, we didn't have the most robust women's team for whatever reason. And so sometimes when we would do workouts, I wouldn't have anyone to train with. And there was Mr. Andrew, always running. We do mile repeats. We would do whatever crazy workout Mr. Lapp planned, and Mr. A was there with me, pacing me every step of the way. So, you know, I just needed to give those two examples because probably everyone who's in here, you've probably had a coach. And having a coach is just such an amazing experience, and Coatesville just represents such athletic endeavors, such commitment, such devotion, and I just, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you guys for all that you've guided me through. So with that, you know, I also want to thank my family for all the support, my sister, my mother, and everyone in here. So thank you guys, much appreciated.
Keeping it in the family, our next two inductees are being honored with our prestigious senior award category. And Bruce Montgomery was a multi-sport standout in the late 1960s, early 70s, and the pride of 10th Avenue. From the lush turf at Scott Field in the fall to the cinder track in the spring, Bruce could be found producing highlights for the Red Raider faithful. On the gridiron, Bruce was a two-time varsity player, earning all Chesmont honors in 1969 as a wide receiver, though he was also utilized as a quarterback when needed. In addition, Bruce was also a two-year varsity wrestler. Bruce's star really shone on the track, again earning 2 varsity letters in outdoor track and a varsity letter in indoor track during his senior year. His versatility while competing in multiple events earned him the Team MVP award in 1970. That same year, he was awarded the Outstanding Runner at the Venski Relays. Bruce continued his athletic career at Ursinus College, where he's a 3-year varsity starter in football and still in the top 10 all-time in receiving yardage and touchdowns. In addition, he ran varsity track for 4 years, setting the school record in the 400-meter hurdles, a record which stood for 27 years. After graduating from Ursinus, Bruce embarked on a stellar 26-year coaching career in football, guiding his teams to 4 New Jersey state championships. His coaching accomplishments earned him induction into the New Jersey Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2010. In addition, Bruce also coached track for 26 years, helping to lead his 1975 team to a state championship. It is my great honor to welcome back to Coatesville and present for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Bruce Montgomery.
By the way, as you also heard from my niece, I'm one of a crap load of Montgomerys who graduated from here. Since I'm the old timer in this group tonight that's being inducted, I get to sit out on my front porch and think back as to what led me to become a Coatesville athlete, someone who really wanted to participate. So I'm going to take you through a little history of people who really impacted my life. The first event that I ever saw as a young kid, I think I was about 10 years old, and I went to a Scott High School basketball game. So it was at the old gym at Scott High School, and when I got there, it was packed, okay? I had to stand behind the backboard, and I think that was even too deep, okay? And both sides of the bleachers packed, both behind each backboard packed. And then I watched this team play, and in particular, I watched this one guy who had the sweetest jump shot I ever saw. And every time he made one, 1,000 people went up in the air and just cheered. It was crazy. Well, that jump shooter was U.B. Marshall, who of course was one of the first inductees into the Hall of Fame. And that guy I happened to follow through his Ursinus career, etc. But I left that day saying, oh my God, I have to be a Coatesville athlete, because it was just incredible what Coatesville sports meant to so many people in this town. Well, of course, I'm 4'8", and so I can't play basketball, okay? So I had to consider something else. So about the same time, when I was 10 years old, my brother went out, who's 5 years older than me. He was a sophomore who went out for Coatesville wrestling. Cal Beam was the coach. And for some reason, I don't know why, and I was talking to my brother about this the other night, they actually ran practices at Gordon, the old Gordon Junior High School, which I think is the administration building. I don't know what it is now, but it used to be Gordon, okay? And so I would go down to practice. I think my mom would say, you got to babysit him while you go to practice too. So she would send me down. And unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't have enough 95-pounders, so they let me wrestle with the 95-pounder. So I'd go through all the drills, and I'd get to wrestle on the mat. But what I remember most is this guy who would come up to me at the end of practice, and he would take me out on the mat, and he'd pin me 20 times, and then he let me pin him once. That guy was Terry Williams. And as you know, Terry Williams is an inductee into the Hall of Fame, and I believe he was the first, and I'm not sure about anything else since I've been away 51 years, but he was the first state champion in wrestling for Coatesville High School. Okay? That's correct, thank you. So, and who the greatest statisticians of all, the Kershey family, knows this, so, okay. Third big event that I recall is I went to Coatesville football games, Friday night football games, way back in the 60s, okay? A little guy, 10 years old. And of course, you know, you watch the game, but what you really did at Scott Field is you went behind the bleachers, behind the goalpost to play football, to pretend that you were one of those guys. And the guy that I like to pretend to be, of course, was another Hall of Famer, Paul Hudson, okay? But the thing I remember most about Paul is that for some reason, I have no idea to this day, but I guess my sister must have talked to him, he sent me a letter from Ohio State, because he was a scholarship athlete at Ohio State, and he sent me a letter, about 4 or 5 lines, encouraging me to continue in sports, and he sent me an autograph, and of course you have to be maybe Ross's age to really know this guy. He sent me an autograph of Hopalong Cassidy, okay? There's more than a few people out here going, yeah, I remember him, yeah. Okay, so, and then of course, and you look up here and you go, well, there's a track picture of you, so where did the track come from? Well, it just so happens that my next door neighbor was a guy by the name of Jack McCarter, okay? Jack McCarter was inducted into the Hall of Fame as part of the 1952 state championship track and field team, okay? And Jack, first of all, did the most selfless thing I ever saw. He brought his entire family of siblings, not his siblings, to live with him in this little house on Chestnut Street, which he and I lived right next to him. And then what he did was he was kind enough to teach us. There would always be somebody throwing the shot put out in the yard, including this little guy, me. Okay, well, I almost got killed 40 times doing that. He would teach us how to high jump. He and my brother built a hurdle where I learned how to hurdle. Okay, and then we would run every year the Chestnut Street Olympics. And of course, we didn't run on Chestnut Street. We would jump over the fence at Scott Field and do it down there and thinking we got away with something. There's a reason I bring this to you. Coatesville athletics is filled with incredible role models, okay? I mean, look, I worked in a school district for 40 years. They ran a Hall of Fame. After 12 years, they were done. There were no more great athletes, okay? I come here today and I see Mike Boykin, a 7-year multi-sport athlete, here being recognized. I see Carl Smith, who I played football with, here being recognized, okay? I think about my memories, Paul Hudson, okay? Terry Williams, Jack McCarter, U.B. Marshall. This is an incredible, incredible sport town with an incredible, incredible tradition. And for me, it made me who I was. I could not wait to be part of a Coatesville athletic team. I couldn't wait. I took that with me into my college years, and I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Okay, who the hell was I? No, I was going to be a teacher. After 1 year, I said, I'm done. I'm going, and I became, and then yet 3 years into my teaching career, I had the chance to go to law school, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing it, because I knew, as Carl Smith has talked about tonight, I would have a much more a much more profound effect on kids, and there was no reason for me to ever leave education. And I learned how to love coaching, I learned how to love teaching, and I learned what it meant for me to experience the things that people like Bill Renfrew, Ross Kirchie, Carl Smith have talked about tonight, okay? So I just want you to know what kind, because I've been gone for 51 years, so I haven't done with what a Rob Fisher did. He came back here and he made his mark here. But I will tell you that Coatesville has had its impact on me, that Coatesville made me the guy that I became, and I am so damn proud to be sitting here tonight, receiving this award, and knowing what kind of place Coatesville is. It's a great place, and we should be proud. So I'd just like to, first of all, thank my family for coming out, that crap load of Montgomerys who graduated from here, okay? I want you to know it's incredibly cool, very cool, to be put into the Hall of Fame with my niece, and she'll tell you I'm her favorite uncle, so don't let her. And I also want you to know, I'd like to thank the committee and tell this committee how incredibly proud I am to be someone from Coatesville and someone who has been impacted by the great tradition of Coatesville athletes. So thank you very much. Okay.
Our next inductee is reverently remembered as one of the all-time greats to ever take the hardwood for Coatesville, even over 50 years after playing his final game for the Red Raiders. Harvey Dixon left a legacy during his 2 years on the court that has stood the test of time. A 3-year varsity player from 1965 through 68, Harvey's 860 career points is 19th on the all-time scoring list, keeping in mind that this was before the advent of the three-point shot. Harvey averaged 15 points and 13 rebounds per game during his 2 years as a varsity starter, good enough for 2 first-team All-Chestmont selections his junior and senior seasons. But no discussion about Harvey Dixon is complete without remembering his performance at the prestigious 1968 Johnstown Invitational Tournament. Harvey led the Red Raiders to the tournament championship and earned the Tournament Most Valuable Player Award. To this day, Harvey's picture hangs on the MVP wall at Johnstown Memorial Auditorium, alongside another Pennsylvania player named Wilt Chamberlain. Sadly, Harvey passed away in 1972. Accepting his Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame award this evening is his sister, Tanya Baxter.
Good evening. Yes, I'm Tanya, and I'm sorry. This is emotional. We thank the committee, the decision makers, for recognizing my brother, the entire family, for recognizing him and bestowing this honor and allowing him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. This is my first time attending this event. The theme, Coatesville Proud. Are we all from Coatesville? Graduates of Cash. I'm a 1971 graduate. Bob, where's Bob in that red blazer? Bob married Josephine Lahanke, who was a graduate with me in 1971. But I've heard so many. I cry easily. I'm emotional. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. These are tears of joy. It was an honor to walk up here with Mr. Kersey, my 12th grade American history teacher. I've heard so many heartwarming stories from some of you that you shared with your relationships with my brother. One story about Ross Kersey. I mean, I'm one of 7 children. My parents, for some reason, the house was always loaded with people, but there were only 2 people home that day, me and Harvey. Mr. Kersey came to take him, I don't know where, but Harvey wouldn't come out of the basement. And so I went down, I said, Mr. Kersey's here for you. And he said, I'm not going. I said, well, you better tell him that. And he wouldn't leave. He stayed down there, and I went up and I told Mr. Kersey, Harvey's not going. Mr. Kersey went down, and the 2 of them left the house together. So Harvey did well, and I'm so thankful that he's being recognized for his talents and his contributions as a Coatesville Red Raider. But there were people, the committee people who selected him, and people in the community who guided and directed my brother, who supported and loved my brother. I heard so many wonderful stories from Francis Washington that I did not hear or know about. But he didn't only touch our lives, he touched the lives of others. And we do truly thank all of those in the community who helped Harvey. Is there a Jack Krantz here? Is Jack Krantz? His son? I've never met them, but I've always heard about them and how they not only helped Harvey, but also my brother Stevie. So again, my family, sorry for the emotional piece, do thank you, are very grateful that Harvey is inducted as one of this year's honorees. Thank you.
It is a real thrill to introduce our next inductee. The 2 things that stand out the most for anyone who watched Joe Domsohn on the football field is that he was a master at running the option offense, and he simply won. An 80% winning percentage as a starting quarterback to go along with a career completion percentage of 68% and 22 touchdown passes are what Hall of Fame careers are made from. Joe was a 2-time All-Chestmont first-team selection, but his football prowess was so widely regarded throughout the Delaware Valley that he also earned Philadelphia Bulletin All-Suburban First Team, Philadelphia Inquirer All-Area Second Team, and All-Scholastic Third Team. And finally, in 1977, his senior year, All-State Honorable Mention and selection to play in the prestigious Big 33 game. Not to be forgotten, Joe also played varsity basketball and baseball for the Red Raiders, helping to lead Coatesville to its first PIAA state tournament basketball appearance in 25 years, while being named Team Most Valuable Player that season. Joe continued his gridiron career at Widener University, playing on a Division II national championship team in 1981. After his playing days ended, Joe entered the football coaching ranks, first at his alma mater here in Coatesville, and then at Twin Valley High School. We are very pleased to present for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame this evening, Joe Domsohn.
Good evening. Wow, this is like a Coatesville who's who, man. It's just unbelievable, the people that I've ran into and the stories that we've shared. I was told 5 minutes. I've rehearsed it a bunch of times. It's about 5 minutes, so bear with me here. I do want to start off with a few thank yous. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this great event tonight and for all you do for the Coatesville Hall of Fame. Thanks to the president, Jeff Chalfant. What a great write-up he did. I was, after I looked at it, I said, wow, yeah, you did belong, you know. John Gathercote, Gat. Gat was a big advocate and supporter of mine, and I really appreciated John. Enjoyed spending some time in Dallas with you. Thank you. Next part's going to be a little boring, but it's important for me because I do have a contingency of relatives and friends here, so I just would like to recognize them, so bear with me. I have my cousin Frank Michuli's here. I have a good friend of mine, Michael Chalfont's here, his daughter Paige. Tony D is somewhere in the background, although Tony comes to all these things, so he didn't really come just to see me. Two good friends of mine, Steve Denisevich and Joanne Denisevich, are here. My brothers, Darren, Dwayne, and Brian are here. My son Kyle's here with his girlfriend Brittany. My daughter, her boyfriend Will. Will, thank you, is responsible for the nice picture that was made of me. I will say this, it's been a really awesome weekend. My son Josh and his wife Ver have given us the biggest gift you could ever get, and that's why he's not here tonight. We got our first grandbaby. In case this is being taped or if somebody's taping me back there, I just want to say hi to Josh, Ver, and Ada. Just want to make a shout out to my dad. He left us about 2 years ago. I've never met a nicer fella in the world, and I know he would be proud. To my mom, is she awake back there? Okay. My mother was a strong supporter and a loud supporter. She came to every ball game. She did not make one ball game. Coach Kershey probably would remember this. There was a sellout up at Boyertown. And I looked around that whole game. I don't know how well I played, Coach, but I know this. I was not myself because I didn't hear her loud voice yelling and screaming. But she took care of us. She had dinner on the table all the time for us, and it's much appreciated, Mom, and I love you. Certainly last but not least, you know, quarterbacks make decisions all the time. And in the course of a game, they make millions of decisions. My decision 32 years ago to ask Nancy to be my wife was certainly the best decision that I ever made. And I love you, babe. Thank you. I think that, did I miss anybody, huh? No? Okay, good. All right. So, but I appreciate everybody who's come to celebrate this night, this fantastic night. So let me just start off by saying how honored and humbled I am to be included in a Hall of Fame with so many great athletes and people. You know, to me, football is the ultimate team sport. And I was blessed to have great teammates and great athletes around me. Along with that, I was fortunate to have great coaching. You know, fellow inductee Carl Smith was my quarterback coach. Man, if I hear one more time, step at 6 o'clock, step at 6 o'clock, I go crazy. But I mean, this is the kind of thing that and look at, he's in the Hall of Fame now. You know, I had legends like Al Black and Ross Kershey. Little story about Coach Kershey. I can remember coming off a football season, and I wasn't playing real well, and he took me aside and he said, Joe, you're better than you think, and I need you. Well, I went on to be the MVP that year, and we went back to the state playoffs for the first time in a long time, and I appreciate the life lesson of believing in yourself. Thank you, Coach. Coach Black, you know, I can honestly say, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. You know, Coach was a master motivator. He paid attention to detail. He was an X and O genius. You know, if you watch the Eagles, not highlight show, the show afterwards, all they talked about was RPOs, run-pass options. Well, we were running RPOs, run-pass options in 1978. You know, now they're famous in the NFL and college. You know, Coach was well ahead of his time. You know, he outcoached everybody, and he got the most out of his players, and he certainly got the most out of me, and I appreciate it, Coach. Coach, where you at anyway? I wish I could have taken you to Widener with me. You know, I'm going to just look back real quick. I'm about 3 minutes in. You know, I never really even dreamed about or thought about the Hall of Fame, to be quite honest with you. And I remember the first time it even was mentioned to me. I was out having dinner, and I run into a fellow Hall of Famer. Did he leave? Coach Richards? There you are. Okay. He mentioned it to me. He said, get your stuff together. And I looked at him. I said, Coach, you know, it's a different game nowadays. I said, back then, if we threw the ball 15 times, Coach Black said we're probably going to lose. I said, the stats that these folks are putting up nowadays, I said, I just don't think that my stats would compare. And I said, the only way would be you'd have to include my 7th grade year, 8th grade year, 9th grade year, and maybe. But I appreciate Coach Richards starting the process, and here we are. You know, after I was nominated, I started to get a little bit of a big head. I said, you know, why not me? How come I can't get in? You know, All-League twice, you know, 2 Chessmont championships, one of the better option quarterbacks, all the stuff that Jeff wrote in there. And I thought about it for a second. I said, you know, they're not going to put anybody in the Hall of Fame who fumbled 6 times in one game. I did. Coach, some of them gray hairs are from that game in Phoenixville. You know, then I got that call. You know, I got that call that you made it. And I was excited. I was happy. I shared the news with my family. And I was out one night shortly after getting the word, and I ran into fellow Hall of Famer Donnie Wilkinson. And I stuck my chest out a little bit, and I said, hey, Donnie, I made the Hall of Fame. If you know Donnie, he looked at me, he said, for what? I'll be forever humble because of Wilkie. Let me end by just congratulating all the other inductees tonight. What a great event and what a great honor, and I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Our next inductee, Kim Clark-Mukalian, quickly established her basketball legacy for the Lady Red Raiders during her freshman year. As a 4-year starter, Kim was a 3-way presence on the court, combining scoring, rebounding, and defense to fashion an all-around game that placed her among the best complete game players in the annals of the Lady Raiders. During her senior season of 1984, Kim averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds per game. That, combined with a smothering defense, earned her team MVP honors. Kim was also a fine softball player and threw the shot put, discus, and javelin for the track team. Her all-around abilities earned Kim the Outstanding Female Athlete Award her senior year. Kim's basketball talent earned her a full scholarship to Immaculata University. Tonight, the committee is very pleased to present Kim Clark-Mukalian for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame.
That's going to be a tough act to follow. All right. When I say Coatesville, you say Raiders. Coatesville! Raiders! Coatesville! Raiders! How's everybody doing? Hey, listen, you know, back in the 60s, there was an Amish woman that met a black man, World War II veteran. They weren't allowed to get married. Somehow they managed to do it secretly. And hence, the Clark family was born. You know, back then, that wasn't something I was like, I would acknowledge. You know, growing up in Coatesville was tough. Growing up in Rock Run was even tougher, right? But I had some great role models. I had 2 Grove families, 12 boys, 2 girls. You better learn how to play some sports if you're going to grow up in Rock Run, right? So you learn how to like spin the basketball because you're playing on a pitch of someone's garage with the hoop. So you had to spin the ball to get it up. Coach Scoogie, I know you didn't like when I did that finger roll. Miss Talley, sorry. But that's what you had to do. You played basketball on a fire escape. And that's where you learned how to play. That's where you learned how to box with Calvin Grove. That gave me all of my parents gave me those skills. God gave me those skills. But growing up in Rock Run, that just enhanced everything. I'm just like so honored to be here tonight. My family is here. My one son who didn't think I was that good is actually homesick. RJ, we miss you, but so I try to school him a little bit, but he's always hurt when I want to play him. I still play. I'm very active in my community. I teach Taekwondo to little kids. I'm not a teacher, but I feel like I am because of my upbringing here in Coatesville and the sports that, kind of created my essence of wanting to give back to my community. So I teach young kids how to defend themselves in Taekwondo. And I always bring up Coatesville. And right now I'm currently living in Downingtown. So my kids are what are you guys, Whippets? They're not Whippets, they're Cougars. So we're up in Lionville. But my daughter's running cross country, and it's hard to sit back and root for the Cougars when Coatesville is running with them. But I'm just super proud to be here today. My family is a big part of what made me want to continue in sports and give back to my community. So my oldest sister, who tells me she's not the oldest, but the wisest, is here with me today. She came all the way down from Harrisburg. She's the one that, made sure that I was dressed and ready for the school bus in the morning when parents weren't there. She got in trouble because she never did my hair right. When I got home, my mom would say, "How did you send her to school looking like that?" But my mom was one that would, she never came to any of my games. And I don't know if growing up with having a diverse family, if that was something that I was, I really was kind of regretful that I didn't want her to participate. But back then it was one of those, okay, Mom, she just always told me to do the best I can do and always look good even if you can't play. She always said that. And my dad, Pop Gene, my dad was my staunch advocate, and my supporter in everything that I did. He supported me in my career after basketball. He told me I had to go to Immaculata because it was all girls. And it was a full scholarship, and he's like, it makes sense, and that was a great decision for me as well. But if you say Coatesville sports to anybody in this tri-state area, they know that you must be pretty darn good if you played at Coatesville and you got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I am truly honored, and I thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this community. Thank you.
Just a reminder to all tonight's inductees, please stick around after our ceremonies. We get a picture of the whole induction class up front here under the banner. Our next inductee, Chuck Brewer, in the 1978-79 basketball season, fashioned a year to remember, scoring 546 points for a 15-point per game average. He helped to lead the Red Raiders to the Chessmont and district championships, ending the year as Eastern Regional runners-up. Another amazing stat for that season, Chuck had 87 assists and 97 steals. His postseason awards included First Team Daily Local News and First Team Coaches All-Chessmont, and he was selected to play in the first Big 15 game. Truly a season to remember. At this time, I would like to present for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Chuck Brewer.
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for these accomplishments, for all that he has done for all of us, not just me, for every last one of us. And basketball itself is a team sport. So the guys that were around me by the name of Dave Flowers, Donnie Griffin, Andrew Washington, and Greg Blackwell. We call them guys the five-man weave. And those guys played a very big part in me being here today. Like I said, basketball is a team sport. You don't get here by yourself. You have guys that will know where to get you the ball at, like a Dave Flowers. You have guys that pick up garbage rebounds, like Donnie Griffin. It's a team sport. So, you know, that was part of my accomplishments. But growing up, there's a guy sitting in this room. I'm not gonna say his name, but they call him Soup. Earl Johnson was my first coach. Baseball, box hockey, whatever you wanted, badminton, Soup was there. And he pushed you. And if anybody knows Earl Johnson, they know what he did. He pushed you. So again, though, I'd like to say thank you for Earl Johnson for being my first coach. Chuck Carroll. You still here, Chuck? Chuck Carroll was an amazing coach. He allowed us to play the game the way we wanted to play it. He coached, believe me, he coached, but he allowed us to play the game the way we wanted to play it. We ran. Dave Flowers, again, was the coach on the floor. If Coach Carroll didn't run the call of play, Dave Flowers ran the plays. But again, like I said, it's all about team. And I have another team here today. We're sitting over here, my family. Patrice Hicks and her fiance, Artie, Tamika Brown and her husband, Gene, my bodyguard, Roddy Green, and the little big brother. All you guys know him, his name is Ricky Hicks. That's the little big brother of the house. I'd like to give thanks too to Mark Bailey and Francis Washington. You guys was like bullies. Give it to you straight, X. But you guys taught us toughness. You know what I mean? You guys gave us that extra stride, the extra push, you know, to get to where we had to get to. Again, coming in the door, I seen Joe Domsohn, who had an opportunity to play football with for 1 year. Then I seen Darren Domsohn. And Darren was one of the guys that were on that 1979 team. So I'm thinking, yeah, I got one of my teammates here, but I forgot he was here for his brother. But yeah, these are the good things, the good times that we had playing basketball. 79 was a great year. You know, I mean, I even had the opportunity to watch Harvey play and Harold Ford play back in the day. I was a young guy, but I had the opportunity to watch him play. And again, if you know the meaning of team, there's no I in it. It's we. It's a team thing. So again, you know, I give homage to all those guys that played with me. Andy Washington is already inducted. The committee, I'm putting my bid in now for my boys. The Dave Flowers and the Donnie Griffins and Blackwell's already in Football Hall of Fame. I like you too. But I guess that's my time. I got to wave. So I guess it's time for me to step off the stage. But Janie Boggs, thank you for pushing. Okay, it's Johnson now. Thank you for pushing. I want to say one more thing though. Bill Bailey. You blocked my shot in Summer League. And I still hear it to this day. That was 30, 40 years ago, man. But those are the good things, the good times that we have. To the committee, oh, hold on. Before I be sleeping on the couch. My wife for 21 years. My wife for 21 years, Sandra Brewer. Sorry, the rest of y'all, Sandra Brewer. My wife for 21 years. I just like to say thank you to her too for putting up with my mess for 21 years. You know, it was a lot. To the committee, I appreciate y'all for allowing me to stand up here, for inducting me, and all's good. Thank you.
I'd be remiss before we bring up our final inductee, for me to be able to stand up here tonight without reading glasses and read the notes. I have to thank my lovely secretary for making 24 font. I wish I would have discovered this 10 years ago. Thank you. And before I introduce our final inductee, I'm surprised he didn't turn and run out the door when he got here. There was a typo in his biography in the program saying he was married with 2 children. I apologize for that. Didn't want to throw a scare into you. And the final inductee this evening is well known to Red Raider baseball fans. As a 4-year starter from 2011 through the 2014 seasons, Brian Brown set numerous school records while establishing himself as one of, if not the best, pitcher in the state of Pennsylvania. Just some of his records include most career innings pitched, most career wins, most career strikeouts, and a school record for the lowest earned run average, 0.31 in a single season. Crazy. Brian's phenomenal senior season in 2014 included 3 no-hitters and a 9-0 record. Some of his postseason awards included All-Chesmont Pitcher in 2013 and 2014, and Chesmont MVP both of those seasons. The District 1 Pitcher of the Year in 2013, helping Coach Zig's Red Raiders win the district championship. And highlighting all this was being selected first team All-State in both 2013 and 2014. Leaving Coatesville, Brian was a 4-year starter at NC State, winning 25 games, garnering numerous ACC awards, and then being drafted by the Boston Red Sox. The committee is honored to present for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Brian Brown.
Thank you for all those kind words. I appreciate that. First, I want to congratulate all the athletes being honored today. It's a real amazing accomplishment. There was really nothing like playing under the lights at Coatesville. It was the only high school that played under the lights in the Chesmont. It was real special. There wasn't really anything like playing with your best friends. That's what all high school was all about. And I can't thank my teammates enough, even though I did try to strike everybody out. We were actually talking over there on the table. My friend Jared, he played outfield. He was like, man, yeah, you were good, but I just stood out there, like I didn't do anything. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. Those relationships that I made, it still lasts these days. I still hang out with a bunch of my high school friends. Secondly, I would like to thank all my coaches that got me to where I am, especially Coach Zig and Coach Ohar. I know they're out here somewhere. If they didn't let me play on 9th grade as a varsity, I don't know if I would be the same baseball player. I got beat up around a little bit, but that's all a good experience. I would also like to thank Dan Newton. He's also here. He's a former Hall of Famer as well. Everybody sees like the results on the field of you doing good and all your accomplishments, but not everything behind the scenes you put in, all the work. Me and him spent numerous summers out there on Coatesville's field just grinding, just trying to get better. And he didn't have to do that either. It's all because he loved the game and he wanted to see me succeed. Lastly, I want to thank all my friends and family for endless support. Without them, I couldn't be here. My dad especially. If you would see If you came to the baseball games, you might know who he is. He was sat in the bleachers. He was the old man up there that had the scorebook. He kept the scorebook, his own personal scorebook. He has every scorebook that I played in from high school, from when I started playing baseball to high school. Again, I'm truly honored to get inducted in the Coatesville Hall of Fame. And, well, I can't forget at the bottom of the page, like you said, I have to thank my phantom wife and kids. Thank you, guys.
I want to thank everybody for this evening. It was another great evening. Thank you for continuing to support us year after year, and we will see you next year. Thank you and good night. I did already. Yep. All inductees, please report to the front for an inductee team picture.